And on this note, I would like to open up the question and answer session to you all, our huge attendees today. Thank you all for coming. It's a shame that there's not more people coming. Certain societies rejecting invitations from us. Who knows why. Nevertheless, with those of you that are here, intellectual and academic minds alike, feel free to ask your questions, be it to the Reverend, be it to Sayyid, be it about Christianity, Islam, Judaism, whatever the case. Your questions are welcome. So when you direct your question, can you please mention which of the speakers you'd like to hear from, and if it's an open question, maybe both of you can respond. So just a show of hands if you have a question. Is that everything? Just to clarify the question, if you guys didn't hear it. Question was regarding the bridge building kind of topic that both speakers mentioned, and if confusion really plays a part between the different interpretations of different verses, and what is the best way to kind of avoid this kind of issue.
Yes, there is sometimes confusion happens, and that is inevitable. When I talked about the Son of God, I understand that if I speak from a completely purely theological perspective, you may not understand what I'm talking about. But when I speak from taking some of your perspective and bring it to my own, then you know what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is, I was trying to explain that the Son of God is that Jesus Christ is from God's Spirit. That is theologically in the Christian theology and in the Quran. But we name the event differently. But that does not mean there are no differences at all. The confusion here is, are you saying that it's the same? No, it's not the same. But I'm saying there is a similar or common basis that we can start from, a departure point. And I agree totally with Sayyid that differences are there not to be ignored and not to shove them under the carpet and pretend they are not there. They are there, and we should respect them, because God Himself respects diversity. If you look at the world, the whole universe is diverse. So how can we impose on God one religion or one perspective or one faith or one anything? This is difficult, because in Christianity we believe in Trinity. The Trinity is diversity in God, but Trinity also misunderstood in Islam as three gods. We believe in three gods. Even in the beginning of Christianity, in the Arabian Peninsula, they understood that the Trinity is Father, Son, and Mary. So Mary was misunderstood to be part of the Trinity, and that has never been in Christianity. Mary has never been part of the Trinity. But we say God is one in three relationships, in three love relationships, because John says God is love, and who abides in love abides in God, and God in him. So also one of the confusion, but this is a big subject, Trinity.
Yeah, just to mildly add to that, I think your point about clarity is very important. But what I was trying to get at was the idea that when we have similarities within faiths and we have dialogue rather than debate, then we can work together on those similarities to create a better society, rather than obviously theological debate has its own place, and whether Jesus is the Son of God or he's not, or whether there's Trinity, so on and so forth, whatever theological debates exist, are not really the pressing concern of today's society. They're important, don't get me wrong, they're important that they have their own place. But as far as what is our pressing concern at this particular moment in time in today's society is to try and get people who are of faith to work together so that we can preserve those common values, because we have a real risk of losing all those values altogether if we continue the misunderstanding and the ignorance. So that was my point that I was trying to get across, so hopefully that's a bit clearer.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your question, Mamit. I imagine you have like 8 more now as a result of that. Anyone else got any questions?
I've been to a few interfaith events like this, and there's always been quite a low turnout. Like it happens, as in we've had problems with other society, other people. They refuse to come because there's someone of other faith present, and therefore if it's of other faith, therefore they're immediately wrong. We don't need to hear what they're saying. But my question is how can we overcome this? Because I'd like to think we all benefited from this event, and I think we need to educate more people. And how would you suggest that, like, this is aimed at both of you, but how would you suggest that we advance interfaith discussions?
Thank you. Just to clarify the question once more, I've seen interfaith turnouts aren't usually the best. Lucky enough, in the conference that we had, where Reverend was also part of, we had an absolutely huge turnout there, just shy of 1,000 there, which was incredible. But then, unfortunately, when we come to universities, we do tend to see a low turnout. So the question is directed to 2 speakers, 2 scholars, 2 academics who are very active in this field. Firstly, do you find a similar low turnout when you guys do your interfaith work? And secondly, how can we overcome these low turnouts that do exist?
Yes, low turnouts are unfortunately a reality. But I think that is generally at university events generally. It's very rare to have a university event which has a match. But you're right, interfaith events do generally have low turnouts. I think one of the ways to overcome that is to try and just, like I said, people are ignorant of what they don't know. And there is a certain arrogance, if you like, on the part of people of faith that whatever I believe is the right thing, and therefore I don't need to know about anybody else. Now, that may well be the case. Okay, you believe the right thing, that's great. But like I said, the need of the hour is to try and preserve these common issues that we have. And if we don't, then we have a real risk of losing them. So if it's conveyed to people, when you're discussing with them, that our point is not to try and convert somebody to Islam or to Christianity or to whatever other faith, and nor is it to even challenge your faith. We're not here to have a debate about whether Jesus is the Son of God or not. What we're here about is to try and resolve and find out what we have in common and how we can use this as a positive force in building society. I mean, you're in an academic environment. You're in a university where you're taught by people who don't have the same faith as you, and you're in a class with people who don't have the same faith as you, and regardless of faith, I mean, if you're in a humanities subject, for example, I studied politics at university. You're in a classroom with people who have different views to you, and sometimes diametrically opposed to you, but you're still in the class with them, and you're still having a discussion with them, and sometimes your lecturer has a different view to you, or you have a different view, so on and so forth. Such as academia. So I think it's it's a shame, really, that there are people who are in this point in academia who still are that closed-minded that they don't want to hear another point of view. But the way around that, I think, is to emphasize the fact that we're not here to convert people. Our point is not to proselytize. That happens in the churches, the mosques, and wherever. The point here is to open up the avenue of dialogue so that we can try and promote those common values and work for a better society. And I think that is something that we would hopefully all agree with.
Thank you. It is a serious problem. I was a chaplain in London, and I was a senior chaplain to all the universities and colleges in London, and that was a problem. And I just imagine the Christian Union in the university where I was, they did not believe that I was Christian. because I came from Syria. After 3-4 years of being a chaplain, they had to invite me to speak about something to do with Islam. They thought that instead of inviting somebody who is completely Muslim, completely out of the wall, let's invite this person who, a Muslim, Christian, something. So they invited me, and they, to their shock, they discovered that I was a Christian. And not only a Christian, a priest. They never regarded me as a priest because I came from the Middle East. So the prejudices, the boxing, I mean, I wasn't surprised when Sadiq said in the Christian Union rejected the invitation, because they think that it is not about Jesus Christ. This is I'm sorry, we are in an academic environment. This is utter stupidity, because if this session was about St. Paul, we don't talk about St. Paul because Paul is not Christ. What on earth could anybody give such an argument? If we talk about the Virgin Mary, it means we are replacing Christ with the Virgin Mary. What on earth are they thinking about? Well, I suffered from that when I was in London. So we need to keep on. Don't give up. Don't give up, especially in the university. It's very important to keep these events going and spread the word that it was a good event. We learned. This is why we are here, to learn from each other, to widen our horizons and to break barriers. And this is exactly why we should keep on doing that. On Christmas Eve, I was on Ahlulbayt TV, live, for an hour and a half, explaining Christmas to millions of Muslims. This is how we should work together. This is why it is so important to talk and break barriers and meet and build bridges, despite all those who have prejudices and try to erect barriers. This is very unfortunate and sad.
Thank you very much for your question, Sister Rose.
Thank you for both the speakers for making those points, and especially the Reverend. I just wanted to, following on from that, I just wanted to hopefully get some clarification on this issue of apparently some Christians holding Mary in higher regard than others. Is that the case? And how does it differ? And according to what what sects? You know, how is it? If you could explain that or demystify it a bit, I would be grateful.
Thank you. Just to clarify the question, it was regarding some Christians who hold Mary alayhi salam, peace be upon her, in a higher regard as to Jesus Christ.
Denominations in Christianity differ in how they revere or they look at the issue of Mary. The Catholics, they venerate Mary very highly, and she is in a it's not higher or lower. It is much more attention to the Virgin than Protestants they do. And even in the Church of England, the range, the spectrum varies from considering Mary, very high in liturgy and in celebrating Mass and all this, and to not mentioning Mary in the Mass. So it depends on how secure you are in your faith. I believe those who do not mention Mary at all, I believe, this is personal view, that they are less secure in their faith, because they think if they touch on this subject, they are lowering the importance of Jesus Christ, or putting somebody with Jesus, which is no. That's, for me, it's an insecure attitude. If I'm secure in my faith in Jesus Christ, I can bring Mary, I can bring St. Paul, St. Peter, I can even bring the attitudes or the opinions of other faiths. In the Awareness Foundation, every single DVD we provide, educational DVDs, we have Muslims and Jewish scholars talking about their perspectives on every topic we present. But in the Christian church, it varies very much how we look at Mary.
I'm doing a PhD in theology,
Yes.
and one further comment on that would be that generally the sort of Christians who would turn out to an event like this would probably be of a more evangelical bent, and they generally, of all the Christian denominations, hold Mary at the lowest, at the lowest rung. Last night, there was the Islamic Society and the Christian Union having a debate on is Jesus God, and that was very well attended.
Of course, yes.
Because it relates to Jesus.
And it's a debate.
And it's a debate, and it was quite antagonistic on a respectful level, on a respectful, considerate level, but it was very antagonistic. It was our faith versus your faith.
Yeah.
And for that reason, everybody came.
Yeah, because they want to. It's a kind of attitude. These people who are very very conservative in their faith, whether Muslims or Christians. It's about wrestling. Who has better muscles? I don't go into these. I refuse such events. I'm not going to show the muscles of my theology and faith against. Listen carefully. Against somebody from a different faith. I'm not here to spread my muscles. I'm here to learn, and for you to learn my point of view. And in this way, we all learn. It's a learning process. But a debate like this, a lot of attraction, yes, because they want to see who wins. This is our society, my friends. It's the society we live in is who wins. It's either you are a winner or a loser. And in faith, we don't see it in this way.
Thank you very much for bringing that up. Was there a winner in the end?
In terms of who exerted the finest rhetoric, probably the Muslims won.
But there are any fights. But there are any fights.
Afraid not, but there were two policemen at the back of the room.
They're scared for their life, probably.
Yes. Oh, sorry, there was like security officers and so on.
Muit.
My question is directly linked to that. Having said that, like, you don't like the debates, I mean, I completely understand, especially that one, because it has an audience and people are just looking for an ego boost. But what about in like personal discussion? Do you not feel like it's a theological debate within each other, as to kind of challenge what we believe and allow people to question what we believe? That's quite important. Otherwise, because it's for example, I believe that if I don't allow myself to be questioned at any level, I'm going to be in a position where I'm believing something that I can't completely defend. So, do you not feel that that's quite important? And it's independently between two people, not necessarily an audience. I can understand the
It's
issue.
very, very important, extremely important. I was invited in last Ramadan, to Abrar Foundation in London with the youth organization, Muslim youth organization. What is it called? IUS, yes. Islamic Unity Society, which is a youth organization. There were more than 200 people in the room, and I gave a perspective, Christian perspective on fasting, and there was a Muslim perspective, and the people challenged me in endless ways, but it was not a debate in the sense of winner and loser. I felt incredibly respected, incredibly loved by these people. Over 200 people were asking to learn. If the debate takes place in order to learn from each other, yes and welcome. But if the debate is who is wrong, who is right, tell me something. Is there any Christian in the whole world can prove that Jesus is God? What are we talking about? And can any Muslim in the world prove that Jesus was not God? What are we talking here? I mean, it's all about who is, exactly what you said, rhetoric. Whose rhetoric is stronger? And I'm not into this game. Not because I don't trust my rhetoric, because I do not believe in the result of such exercises. But challenging, yes, go ahead and challenge me. Ask anything you like, fine and welcome. Because I know that the end result is we learn from each other. It's a learning, it's a journey, it's a process. It's not who is losing and who is winning.